Good day everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new review. For today I have another $50 action camera that can record in 4K. Now keep in mind that none of these cheap action cameras can actually record in 4K, so they record in 2K and that's interpolated to 4K, so always keep that in mind for these cheaper action cameras. This particular one has the all-winner V3 CPU and the Sony image sensor IMX179. Let's start with a very quick unboxing. So the camera comes in a white box. On the front we have a picture of the camera, and turning the box around we are gonna find some specs. However, the specs on the back of the box are actually wrong, so they don't actually match the camera. Inside the box we are gonna find the action camera and the waterproof case. The manufacturer suggests that the waterproof case is good to up to 60 meters in the water. However, I'm not gonna go diving anytime soon, so there is no way for me to actually tell you if that's true or not. Aside from that, we are going to find a user manual, and the user manual it's in English and it's got a whole bunch of instructions. And lastly, there are some mounts and some stickers, however not as many as you've seen for other action cameras in the past. The action camera itself looks different than all the other action cameras that I've seen, and this one doesn't actually feel cheap because all the other ones feel very cheap. This one doesn't feel cheap at all. On the front we have this super shiny plastic, and whenever it's clean the camera does look quite good. We also have the lens. On top we have the mode button and the power button, and that's also the recording button, and we have an LED there. And turning the camera around, on the right hand side we have the micro USB port. This is the port for charging. We also have the HDMI port, a reset button and the micro SD card. The camera can also be used whenever it's charging, so you can still record while charging the camera, and we also have a driving mode, so that means that the camera will turn on and off whenever the car starts or turns off. And turning the camera around we have the Wi-Fi button and the speaker. The Wi-Fi button can also be used to navigate through menus. This camera can also be set on a tripod, however we cannot replace the battery, so the battery is built in and we don't have access to it. That being said, you can still get about an hour and 20 minutes of recording time at 1080p. And lastly, on the back of the camera we have a 2-inch display. The display doesn't have the best viewing angles and it doesn't get that bright, so it may be difficult to see whenever you're outside and there is a lot of light around you. It's important to know that this camera doesn't have any type of image stabilization, so whenever you're going to be walking or moving the camera you're going to get that shaky footage. Next I want to show you how the microphone sounds, and here are a couple of clips. This is our first microphone test. As you can probably tell, I am inside and there is no other noise aside from my voice. So this is how the microphone sounds. This is our second microphone test. So I am outside, there are some birds around, some wind, and this is how the microphone sounds. So as you've heard, the sound it's a bit muffled and it's kind of out of sync. Again, you can fix that whenever you're editing a video, but I don't see why the sound should be out of sync. Next I want to show you some pictures that I took with this camera, and I have to be honest, the pictures look better than all the other action cameras that I tried. So there are some pictures that I took in daytime conditions and some pictures that I took at night, but you can see for yourself that the pictures do look quite good for an action camera that costs only $50. And we are moving on to video recording. So the first samples are gonna be samples that I took in daytime, and all the samples that you're actually gonna see were recorded in 4K, but they're downsized to 1080p so they can match the rest of the video. So these are some daytime samples. And since there is no image stabilization, of course the footage will be a bit shaky. Alright, and now let's see a close-up. Not too bad, I guess, but again I'm looking at the little screen of the camera. And as you've seen, as long as you don't shake the camera too much, the recordings do look quite good for a camera that costs $50. Let's keep that in mind. And next, let's check out some recordings that I've done in low light conditions. And as you've seen, even in low light conditions, the camera still does quite good. So I wasn't actually expecting that this camera would do that well. So I'm very impressed by it. You can also control this camera from your smartphone. So you're gonna have to download an app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and then you're gonna have to turn on the Wi-Fi for the camera. To turn on the Wi-Fi, you just press that button on the left hand side. Then you connect to the camera's Wi-Fi with your smartphone, and then you just open the app. Whenever you're connected to the camera, you can start recording, you can take pictures, you can change the resolution, you can watch whatever you have saved on the camera. So basically you can control the entire camera from your smartphone. And that's very convenient if you have this set on a tripod or something like that. This works good up to 12-15 meters away from the camera, but even then it tends to get disconnected quite often. Using the camera, it's also very simple. So we have an on button and a mode button on top there. So you turn on the camera and then you can switch in between modes with the mode button. So the first mode would be the video recording, and of course you can change a couple of things in there like the resolution and so on. Keep in mind that as I said before, we don't have image stabilization. The next mode would be the picture taking mode, so you can take pictures. The second or third mode would be the slow motion mode, and that's done at 720p at 90 frames per second. The next mode would be to actually view whatever you have saved on the camera, so videos or pictures, and the last one would be the settings. We don't have a whole bunch of settings in there. Of course, we can change the screen resolution, we can set this to car mode or normal mode, whatever you're using it for. We have the possibility of changing the languages, and we do have some languages available, but realistically we don't have that many settings available. And it's time to conclude this video. So this camera did much better than I was expecting, and aside from the sound that's a bit out of sync, everything was better than I was expecting. And let's keep in mind the price, because it only costs $50. So if you're looking for a super cheap action camera, this could be the one to get. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.